Hello, happy Tuesday, happy Mars Day, and welcome to another pre-show tarot reading for That Witch podcast. I'm your host, your guide, your instructor, and mentor in all things magic, witchcraft, astrology, and business. That witch next door, Danny. You know, one day I'll like doing intros, and today's not that day. I hate having to do intros. So, let's get more casual. Hi, how is everybody doing today? What are we doing? The moon is moving into Aries today. So, fiery moon last week's episode, fiery moon this week's episode. The little bit of difference here is Sagittarius, which was where the moon was last week. This is mutable energy, very flowing and fluid, moving, adaptive. And Aries fire energy is cardinal, which means it's very initiatory, very instigative. It is that spark. And quite honestly, in my opinion, Aries is the most cardinal of all of the cardinal signs, because it's the very first sign of the zodiac. It houses a whole different meaning of new beginnings and spark of life. It marks the spring equinox, which represents life and birth and rebirth, right? New beginnings, new starts. And this is really, really perfect energy for today's episode, because we're really getting back to some beginning basic principles and fundamentals of witchcraft, astrology, and business development. For today, we're going to be really focusing on the elements, because the elements span really everything, and they are prominent pieces of witchcraft and astrology. You don't have to work with these energies, but most people across so many different cultures, so many different backgrounds, so many different educational experiences, right? Like, we all learned in a different way from different areas. And yet still, it is one of the most common practices and branches of witchcraft is elemental magic. And that really is because the elements are just in everything. And as you probably already know, they play a very, very big role in tarot, of course. So let's hop into the tarot reading for today. Make sure you're sitting or standing as evenly as you can, right? Your weight is as evenly distributed as possible, so you feel very solid, very stable, and very grounded. I want you to take a deep breath, maybe even close your eyes. Really remain present in this moment. Really open yourself up for any messages that you need right now. You could even think of a specific question, especially if there's been a specific question on your heart lately. But let's just open up to spirit and see what we've got to say today. Maybe I'll be cutting the deck today. Sure looks like it. As always, I'm using my Deviant Moon Tarot deck. And one thing that I do when the deck's not really spitting any cards out is I use my non-dominant hand to cut the deck. I really allow my intuition and my guides to guide my hand and guide my thumb or my fingers and find that sweet spot where the deck wants to break for me. Okay. Woo! This is pretty good for new beginnings too. We've got an ace. We got an ace. We've got the Ace of Pentacles. Oh my god, what a cool card. That big old black dragon. So cool. With that big old cosmic pentacle coin there. Dope. We got it right side up too, so we like that a lot. That's a pretty good one. So, Interesting, especially since, like I said, today's episode's really going to focus on fundamentals and new beginnings. Ace of Pentacles here. This is the earth element. Pentacles, I think it was Pentacles we had last week. And this is representative of the earth element, anything extremely present and physical, okay? And for this reason, that is why our money, finances, possessions, things like that, fall into the earth category. So when we see pentacles, we often think of professional things or just financial things in general. But remember, this is just anything to do with your physical environment. I want you to ask yourself, I just got a very, very strong message and download from Spirit. What is it that you want to start? What is the new thing that it is that you've been wanting to do? I answer that question either out loud or in your head, because there's something new that you want to do. And this is Spirit saying, yo, opportunity, it's right on your doorstep, man. It's right on your doorstep. Ace of Pentacles is big opportunity. All of the aces are opportunities. They're new beginnings. They're first steps, if you will. New ideas, rebirth, life. But when we put it through the scope of the Pentacles, this is something to do with this very physical present life here on this earth, here and right now. Okay? So what is it that you want to do? There's something that you got an idea for, maybe a while ago, and you've been putting it off, or maybe it's something that came to you more recently, but there's something that you want to do. And you're very likely having some reservations about that. There's probably some risk involved. Guess what? There's always risk involved in new beginnings. Every single dang one of them. I'm not joking. There are risks involved in every single new opportunity, no matter how safe it feels. So I want you to ask yourself, what are the reservations? What are your objections? What's holding you back from this new opportunity? Are you debating investing in yourself? Are you debating changing jobs? Are you debating moving homes? Moving, like really moving. Maybe not just to a new house, but maybe to a whole new city, a whole new state, a whole new country. What is the new beginning? Again, it's something very, very physical and present in this life. The ace is not only a gift of opportunity from the universe, it is in fact a seed. And if you've had a tarot reading with me before and we've pulled an ace, you've probably heard me talk about the seed analogy, which is, if I gave you a packet of seeds today as a gift, I just handed you a fuck ton of potential abundance and prosperity. Because we all know, even if you're not like an official gardener or anything, how much can come from one seed? The mightiest trees that we've ever seen, the biggest plants of growth, that we've ever seen, they all came from one seed and grew and expanded into what they are today. And so I really want you to take in the weight that is the value of a seed, okay? So when the universe is handing you a packet of seeds, I want you to really sit with and recognize and acknowledge how powerful the gift is that they're handing you. I also want you to consider and be very honest with yourself the amount of work and effort that does come with a seed. And honestly, the risk, like we talked about. What if it doesn't grow? What if it dies? What if it does grow and it grows for a long time and then it dies? I mean, there's a lot of risk, right? In general, technically, tons of things could go wrong at any moment. We never say this, but, tons of things could go right at any moment. Think about that. Whenever you're weighing the risks, I want you to weigh out the rewards, too. I think that we really forget to do that. Because there are so many times that the risk is totally worth the reward. And the reward is totally worth the risk. This is going to require commitment, time, energy, and effort on your part. But from this seed can grow everything that you want. Everything you've been gearing towards and setting your sights on. You can have it. I think most people convince themselves that they can't have it. And that's honestly just conditioning of really toxic society telling us that, repeating those old thought patterns. Seeds are hard. If you really have ever grown anything from seed, you'll know that it's hard. It's not hard. It's time consuming and it requires TLC. I mean, it really does. It's also something that gets easier. It's something that becomes almost second nature. The more you accept the seeds and accept the gifts from the universe and just accept them knowing I'm taking this and I'm willing to do what I need to do on my part to grow this to its future potential, you'll find that new beginnings are therefore around every corner we turn. And every single time that we go for it, it gets a little bit smoother. It gets a little bit easier. We get a little bit better every single time because we learn through every single experience. All those risks that we talked about, what if the plant dies? Well, it might. And you'll take that experience and you'll use it to continue furthering everything that you desire. So even if the universe, let's say, hands you this full packet of seeds, right? And maybe that packet of seeds, there's 50 to 100 of them in there. And we know that it just takes one seed. If you ask me, that's a lot of chances. When I see a packet of seeds, I see a lot of experience that we get to have. Try not to think of it as I have to have that experience in order to become, right? I get to have that experience. Getting to be present and presence, being physically present, big theme for Pentacles. Being present is the gift. Being present is the present, if you will. The fact that you get to have this very earthly physical awareness of your experience, that's a really beautiful, beautiful gift in my opinion. It's an extremely powerful tool. Experience may be one of our most powerful tools. I would say learning from our experiences and being present throughout our experience and keeping an open mind all along the way, which is just another way of really committing to the experience part of it. I think that those tools pack a seriously powerful punch. And I think you can do anything with that mindset. I really do. If you can embrace the entire experience, challenges, blessings, risks, rewards, everything in between, I think that you will earn and therefore achieve everything that you desire. I do. So I want you to sit with this new beginning, with this seed that you have, because here it is. That dragon, look at how it's really presenting this coin, right? It really, to me, looks like it's about to hand it over. It's like the pentacle somewhat belongs to the dragon, and it is also a gift. Hint, hint, it's a gift of experience. So universe, spirit, the gods, your guides, your higher self, you know that there's opportunity in front of you that they're offering you. And I want you to sit with it. I really do. And I want you to mainly sit with why you are trying to talk yourself out of it. Why? Why are you trying to talk yourself out of it? And why are you not trying to really hype yourself up? I think that's something we should all try and do a little bit more. I do. This is awesome. I love this. Fresh, new beginnings, new ideas, starting at the beginning, starting at the start. It's scary and daunting. There's so much road ahead. But remember that scary and daunting that you feel, mixed in there is also a ton of passion and a ton of curiosity and a ton of excitement. And those energies deserve just as much of your nurturing as your checks and balances that you're doing with yourself. Because I'm definitely a fan of weighing out all your options and genuinely weighing the risks and the rewards, right? Let's make smart decisions. Let's work smarter, not harder. I agree with that. Okay. I think this is pretty perfect energy leading into this episode today for this week. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start jumping into the fundamentals. I'll see you in a second for the episode. Hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome everybody to another episode of That Witch Podcast. I hope you already know. I'm Danny, that witch next door, your guide, your mentor, your instructor in all things witchcraft, astrology, magic, and business. Oh, here I am. It's so nice to talk to all of you again. I want to take a minute to say a few things before we jump into today's episode. And the main theme of those things is gratitude, and it's for all of you. People, you're just making this humble little modest witch next door's dreams come true. And I am floored just week after week, day after day at the unwavering, immensely powerful support of this community, of this witchy neighborhood that I have created here. And because of all of you, I'm living that dream. I know that we've heard that statement, celebrities say it and stuff all the time. I get it. It's valid because I feel it so wholeheartedly. I could not do this if it wasn't for all of you. And so thank you to everybody who listens to the episodes. And yes, of course, to my amazing clients that book services with me, but even anyone that just leaves me a great review on Apple, or likes my content, or saves my content on Instagram, or follows me on TikTok, or listens to this episode. Your support is not going unnoticed, and I'm just so insanely grateful for all of you. This is the third podcast that I've done, and I've been a guest on several other podcasts, but this is the third of my own making, and I've never experienced podcast growth like this before, and it's humbling. It's so amazing. Each episode is reaching well over 100 listeners. We're at the time of me recording this, I'm less than 30 days into this podcast journey, and I'm floored by those analytics. So thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. I notice every single time somebody recommends this show to somebody, and I just want to let you know, those people that you recommend me to, they really do come find me, and they share their words of gratitude and support, and it's just this beautiful, shining love cycle all around, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. So thank you. Another cute little announcement I have, if you will, is I am on TikTok, so it happened. And I don't know exactly how I feel about this. I want to speak on this on the show for a reason. And that reason is because if you know me on a personal level at all, the last couple of years, you know very well how adamantly against joining TikTok I've been. And there are plenty of valid reasons for that, just like there are plenty of valid reasons to avoid any social media platform in general. But I will say that I'm really, really glad that I finally just opened my mind and gave it a try. And I think that me doing this, because I just recently joined TikTok. I only have a few videos up. Like, this was very, very recent. I never even had an account before that. So if I saw a TikTok video, it's because someone shared it to Instagram or Pinterest or Facebook, or texted it to me or whatever. But so not only did I start a brand new page from scratch on TikTok for my business, I also am a brand new little baby TikTok user. So I'm also learning just the app in general. And I will say it's hilarious and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So if you are anything like me, you're avoiding TikTok, and let's just call it what it is, out of stubbornness, because that's what I was doing. I talked so much shit about it. I was like, well, now I can never join because I said so much crap about it. Sorry, I had to take a drink. That LaCroix, though. Gotta stay hydrated. Shout out to LaCroix. Go ahead and sponsor me. No. But really, if you are anything like me and you've been avoiding TikTok for the same or similar reasons, like the just straight up misinformation that I think a lot of us have seen, especially in the spiritual industry, in the witchcraft community, see passed around. There's a lot of watering down of this practice and this craft that happens. And let's be honest, it's new and all the youngins are doing it. And so those of us that are like hitting our 30s or mid 30s now, we're like, no, those are for the kids and I'm not a kid anymore. But I want to encourage you to have an open mind. Don't knock things till you try them. You can join for a week or two, and if it's that terrible and it really is not for you, then you could delete it. But you might find yourself in a similar position as myself, which is I seriously, like, I need another platform in addition to Instagram, because Instagram has so many glitches for me. There are so many glitches that happen in stories and reels. Honestly, nowhere else. I have zero problems, zero technical issues on Instagram except stories and reels. And if you're a creator, an entrepreneur, and you have used social media or use Instagram to build your business, and you know the amount of time and effort that you take to create even just one piece of content, then you know how frustrating it is that it gets messed up or screwed up or whatever by something completely beyond your own control. Like, it had nothing to do with a lack of planning and procrastinating. It has nothing to do with you not showing up wholeheartedly or trying your best, right? It's just totally beyond your control. And it is insanely frustrating. So I realized I was kind of putting most of my eggs into the Instagram basket and a couple eggs into the YouTube basket. And I am restructuring this a little bit, and now I'm trying to put more, like, equal amounts of eggs into, do you like my analogies on this show? Because I just run with them forever. I want to put equal-ish amounts of eggs into TikTok and Instagram, maybe a little bit less into YouTube, and build that. Mostly that's because I am learning the technical side of video making and video editing in the background. So it is not easy. I would like to just say Hey YouTube, hey YouTubers who have been doing this for a while that are totally self-taught. You're killing it and you inspire me every day. I'd go watch all kinds of random different YouTube channels just to gain inspiration to see what people use to edit, what kind of transitions, how long their videos are, the content, blah, blah, blah. The list is so long. And just thank you for doing what you do because you're really helping a fresh YouTube baby like me. So, I am on TikTok. It is a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. You should go follow me at thatwitch.nextdoor. And, you should also follow and subscribe to my channel on YouTube too. I would really appreciate that. Instagram, stop getting on my shit list. Okay. So, I'm thankful for all of you. I'm on TikTok. What's the last update that I had? Oh, so how is everybody? The energy has been interesting since our last episode, since we last sat together. It's been very, very interesting. And I hope that you take a minute to kind of sit and reflect on this last week. And what did it feel like for you? What did you experience? It's been very, very interesting for me. But today the moon moves into Aries. And this is perfect for today's episode because I thought it was really cool that last episode we had a fire moon as well. Last episode I released, the moon was in Sagittarius and going to move into Capricorn much, much later in the day or later in the evening, I believe. And today we will have a good first half of the day in Pisces. At least I'm going based off of mountain time here in Denver. Will be in Pisces, and then this afternoon, almost exactly 1 o'clock p.m. MST, the moon's going to move into Aries. And the reason this is really perfect is because if you remember from last episode, we are at the beginning of a journey. Where to even begin in witchcraft and astrology, right? And so what I will be doing is a super awesome, fun series of episodes all about fundamentals, okay? Fundamentals in witchcraft, fundamentals in magic, fundamentals in astrology, fundamentals in psychic work, and fundamentals in entrepreneurship and small business ownership. And I'm really, really, really excited to do this because this is what I do for a living. I work with novice business owners or baby witches, or maybe you're not necessarily a baby witch, but you're really looking to take your practice or your business to the next level and scale up. This is what I do. And so I thought that kind of taking what I do in a lot of my sessions and putting it into different episodes would be a total blast. And I'm really excited because if you've listened to my show before, if you've been following me on Instagram or on social media, you have very likely heard me say in the past that, because I said it last episode too, starting at the beginning, going back to the basics, getting back to the fundamentals, getting back to the building blocks, regardless of your experience and how long you've been practicing, is super important and very, very beneficial. The reason it's important is because we don't want to get so far away from the fundamentals and so far away from the basics by never revisiting them again that they become super old and dusty for us. Things are always a changing. The fundamentals are always changing. Look at astrology. That's a perfect example. We only knew a certain amount of planets existed for a very, very long time. And so when we started discovering the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, asteroids, right? These things, this was in a big way going back to the drawing board, right? For modern astrology, we really had to go back to the drawing board and back to the basics to kind of fit in the modern planets. And there is traditional astrology and traditional astrologers, traditional astrologers that specifically study and work with the traditional planets and actually don't work as much with, or even perhaps at all with, the outer planets. It really is what resonates with you. Bottom line is that when we revisit the basics and fundamentals of areas of practice or study in witchcraft, astrology, business, all this, it is just like rewatching your favorite movie or rereading your favorite book, and you're gonna pick up on all these new little messages and signs that come out to you that maybe that first time around that you were learning or studying, you weren't meant to have that message yet. And so this is why I really like going back to the drawing board. Now, as far as today's fundamental goes, as I'm sure you saw in the podcast title, we are getting into the elements, and I am so excited about this because I am an elemental witch through and through. I really find the elements to be the glue of everything. From my professional to my personal life, from witchcraft to astrology, all from kitchen magic to death magic, all of these different branches and areas of who I am and what's in my life can become this beautiful, cohesive experience through the elements. And quite honestly, that's actually a really good way to kind of describe what they are and the purpose that they serve. The elements are in everything. That's why if you've started studying witchcraft or astrology, I guarantee you've already come across this, or at the least you've seen people talk about it on social media. Water signs, fire signs, right? Or, today we're working with water energy or air energy. So you've probably at the very least heard about this. And it is there because it's in everything. It's really in everything. And so today we are going to talk about the elements in a big cumulative way by going through each element and kind of what it looks like in all these different areas of life. In astrology, in witchcraft, business, right? We're gonna talk about each element that way. Instead of, me talking about just the elements and what they are, and then on another episode I bring up the tarot suits and I mention elementals again, and then in another episode I bring up the zodiac signs and I mention the elements again. And you see what I'm saying? Instead, we're going to talk about each of the 4 elements today as big umbrellas, and we're going to talk about a lot of the main characteristics under each umbrella. Okay, so what are the elements? There's 4 of them. There's a 5th element, which is our connection to spirit and universe, okay? We're not going to get super into that. We're going to stick to the 4 elements today. Water, earth, air, fire. We are going to talk about the elements in the order they appear in the zodiac, though, because it'll help me stay organized while I record, honestly. So that brings us first and foremost to fire. And fire is the perfect place to start because fire represents that spark of life, beginning. When we think of spark of life, I want you to think of a match striking, okay? That's that spark that lights something. Fire really begins so many things. First of all, in a historical sense, fire was the beginning of a big evolutionary upgrade for humans when we started cooking our food and being able to keep ourselves warm. Real game changer back then. And I studied this a couple of years ago. I get in like ancient historical or ancient history rabbit holes, and I will stay there and study ancient history for like 2 months, and then I'll wait till the next year and I'll do it again. But one of my most recent dives that I took into ancient history taught me something fascinating, which was when, why? When we started cooking our food, why did that make such a big difference? Well, because it killed so much harmful bacteria, number one, that could have potentially, maybe it didn't kill you right off the bat, but it gave you something that we didn't have the immunities to fight off, and so it'd make you get really sick, and then maybe you die more of like dehydration. But it also breaks down certain types of food so that our bodies can more effectively and efficiently digest them, and we actually absorb much, much more beneficial nutrients that way. And this led to some serious brain development for us. So fire, the reason I'm going through all of this is because this is what elemental magic is. This is what elemental energy is. It is so broad and so embedded and intricate with, and intertwined with everything, that once you start practicing elemental magic, you will find yourself seriously almost classifying everything. In my opinion, this is how you begin to, quote unquote, master the elements, okay? So fire's role is this spark, right? Life giver. And because of this, it also brings with it passion, lust, creativity. Because these are things that come from sparks. That's how I always look at it anyways. Fire energy and the fire element gets us to tap into our most basic instincts. Our purest forms of identity also lie in the fire element. I personally believe that we learn most of our authenticity through the fire element, because fire brings courage and confidence. And because it initiates creativity and heart's passions. Heart's passions are some of the most authentic things that come from us. Our passions, those things that really light our fire, see? That is a representation of our most authentic, version of ourselves, or some of our most authentic parts of ourselves. There's really no adapting and conforming to, other people in fire. Like fire, you're not going to find mimicking very often. You're gonna find more along the lines of initiatory, very original energy. And these big broad themes that I'm giving them to you because these are the types of themes to use the fire element and energy for in your life, in witchcraft, in your personal life, in business. When you are needing to strengthen one of these areas or ask for assistance in one of these areas, you're going to want to look to the fire element, okay? So some things that fall into the fire element are going to be, so let's talk first about the fire signs. Aries, then Leo. So Aries is the cardinal fire zodiac sign. Then Leo, which is the fixed zodiac sign. And finally, Sagittarius, which is the mutable fire sign. And when we think of all of the elements in relation to astrology and the zodiac signs, and we're going to use fire as an example, and just know that this applies to all of the other elements as well. Think of Aries to Leo to Sagittarius as this story of evolution, as specifically as the story of evolution of the fire journey, which is the spark, right? That's what Aries is. It's the spark, the initiation. Then it morphs and it evolves into fixed fire energy in Leo, which is where the fire element learns to stabilize and maintain. Very important, because fire can go out as quickly as it started. But fire can also be one of the most mighty sustaining forces on our earth as well. And so that's where, fire starts as this spark, masters kind of that energy, and then it evolves into this sustainable fixed fire energy where it learns how to maintain. This is very important for fire. And finally, fire ascends to Sagittarius, to the mutable fire energy, which is it's learning to be flexible and adapt. In particular, with Sagittarius, that is, it really learns to follow its own light. Fire, by the time it gets to Sagittarius, has strengthened its instincts and its intuition and its own trust in its instincts and intuition, that when it gets to Sagittarius, its main lesson or its main purpose is learning to just simply master nothing but following that light of intuition and instinct. There's no questioning it. That's that pure, unadulterated confidence that the fire element brings. Okay, so from the scope of astrology, this is really where we look at the fire element. In tarot, fire is represented by the suit of wands. And therefore, when we're reading tarot and we pull any wand card, we know right off the bat we're dealing with passions, we're dealing with action energy, right? Very intense energy in general because it's so action-based. It's so initiatory. It's so creative and so authentic. Now, fire energy that's really balanced and really developed, really houses and displays all of these different qualities that I've been telling you about. But let's talk a little bit about an overabundance of fire and then a lack of fire and what these things look like. Because this, I think, is really where using the elements comes into play as far as like daily witchcraft practice, daily, again, just personal, individual mindfulness practice, and also really being able to use and apply astrology into all of the areas of your life. I think that the best way to be able to do all that and learn about doing all of that is through then understanding what does an overabundance of fire look like and what does a major lack of fire look like. So, overage, surplus of fire is going to be that very, very classic hot head. This might be you, this could be somebody else, someone you know. This is that hot head, that person that just cannot seem to get their impulses under control. They're so initiative that it morphs into impulsiveness. It moves past being, really practical, very instinct and intuitive based instincts into very emotionally based impulsivity. When we have an overabundance of fire, we will see arrogance. We will see cockiness. We will see conceitedness. This is somebody who is letting their fires and flames burn so hot they can't see past their own heat that they're radiating. That's too much. There needs to be a balance here, okay? really, between all four. And you'll learn that as we go along in today's episode. The main deal with elements is balancing out all four of them. So when we have a lack of fire, this is somebody who, Lord have mercy, second guesses everything that they do. This is somebody that probably second guesses themselves so much or has such a lack of confidence, they don't even try in the first place. This is someone who has a really, really hard time with new beginnings and someone who has a really, really hard time with change. Fire element brings with it a fuck ton of transformation. Think of the analogy of like burning down to promote new growth. With a lack of fire, with that lack of kind of burning away all of the dead crap that you no longer need anymore, you're making it way harder for new growth. And therefore, your opportunity for new beginnings is much smaller, or not even smaller. It's just that your eyes aren't open to it. You're not even allowing yourself to be open to new opportunities and new beginnings. This is somebody who tells themselves that they're not creative at all, and so they don't even try. They don't try to do anything creative at all, because creativity is for artists. And, obviously I'm not like some amazingly paid artist, so I couldn't possibly be creative. Creativity spans so much more than that. Creativity itself, imagination itself, has no bounds. And so, when we have a lack of fire, this is somebody really, really needing to work with that element to help boost that creativity, to help boost that confidence, help boost that courage. Really igniting your heart's fire, okay? I think that my favorite way, or ways, to tap into the fire element when I really am needing it is candle magic. It's just always going to be my go-to for fire element stuff. I love doing candle magic in general anyways. Most people do. It's just a satisfying ritual. It almost always is. It looks very witchy. You feel very powerful. That's what fire magic does for you, by the way. If you're not feeling very empowered lately, or you're just not feeling powerful lately, this is usually from a lack of fire. And I personally think that doing candle magic is one of the best ways to start feeling powerful again. So candle magic, this is probably my go-to way, but I also like to cook a lot. And cooking on the stove, heating up your food, this is very much working with fire energy. And for me, that's one of the most rejuvenating things that I can do. If I'm not feeling creative, I go in the kitchen and see what I have and I make something. That's my favorite way to boost specifically my creative energy. And when you do that, that's working with the fire element. And then another great way is wearing fiery colors: red, orange, yellow. Yellow is also a color that corresponds to the air element, and we'll get there. But I'm sorry, I'm always going to also count yellow as a fire color. We associate the sun with being yellow, sunflowers being yellow. There's so much yellow in Leo energy for me, which is fire again. So I'm going to always give some yellow to the fire, okay? But yes, I know, to all the perfectionists, me included, I know that yellow is also air color. So I'll wear like some super sassy, like a red skirt, or bright red pants, bright red shirt. One of my favorite things to do when I don't feel like wearing that color, because I do, you probably noticed from watching the YouTube video, I like black and white a lot. I wear a lot of black, first of all, and I like a lot of cream. I really am monochromatic a lot, and I do try to boost my color more and more. But on those days that I'm just feeling really monochromatic, no shame at all, I'll wear red underwear. I love doing that. So I'll wear like fiery red underwear, especially on Tuesdays, which is Mars Day. And Mars is a fire planet, okay? Tuesdays being Mars Day, by the way, wonderful day to really tap into and work with fire energy. That's another thing that you can do. It's not just about the physical ritual you're doing, right? Like the wearing of the clothes or the candle. You could also just tap into fire energy by kind of looking ahead astrologically, kind of seeing and looking at fire energy that's upcoming. So like today being an Aries moon, the moon will be in Aries until Thursday evening. So today until Thursday, through Thursday the 26th, Aries moon energy. Great time to work with the fire element. Sunday's always going to be a good day for that. Sundays are ruled by the sun. That is some powerful fire energy. And you could also use Thursdays as well. Being Jupiter day, number one, Jupiter will just expand on and blow up whatever element it is that you give him, your intention to. So, hey, Jupiter, I really need to expand on my fire energy today, and we'll focus there. But Jupiter also rules Sagittarius, so there is a lot of fire in Jupiter as well. Now, speaking of the sun magic, that is another wonderful way to connect with and work with fire energy. Even if the sun is behind clouds for most of the days from wherever you live, it is there. And even if you live in those parts of the world where you don't get sunlight, like in Alaska for, 30 days? Tapping into fire energy and really setting your intentions on calling and connecting with the energy of the sun, because even if it's not shining, it is always there. This is why sun energy and sun magic is so powerful and so important. And I love moon magic, you guys. I always will. Most of us always will. But a lot of people also forget about sun worship and sun magic as well. And it's just as beneficial for just completely different reasons in completely different ways. But the sun is always there. Why? Because we rotate around it. It's literally the center of our solar system. This is why in astrology, your sun sign is so loud and so important, because of course, all of your other placements and aspects, all of it is so, so important. But we do really resonate so much with our sun sign because it's the core of who we are, because the sun is the core of our universe. Sorry, our solar system. I really meant to say solar system, not the universe. God, good gods, who knows what's the center of the universe? Maybe we'll discover it one day and our minds will be blown. Probably literally, because I don't know if our little brains can handle that knowledge yet. So that's fire. That's some fiery stuff. Where's the fire in your chart? I want you to go in your chart and look at where is Leo, where is Sagittarius, where is Aries, do I have placements there, what houses are they in, what houses do they rule. Then look up the ruling planet for each of those. Aries is ruled by Mars, Leo is ruled by the Sun, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Okay, so also look at those three ruling planets and look at where those are in your chart. Okay, by looking into your chart and looking at where these are for you uniquely, it will help kind of reveal some hidden secrets and keys just for you to unlock and embrace that fire energy in your specific chart, okay? This is why so many of us astrologers and witches talk so often about the elements in your chart, because it really is almost like this secret code. Hey, do you need to know how and where fire plays a role in your life and how for you specifically you can tap into it and work with it? Check out astrology, okay? Seriously though, do it. Let's move on to the next element, which is Earth, because next comes Taurus in the astrology. That's what I meant to say. Next comes Taurus in the story of the zodiac. So, Earth. if you were listening to today's pre-show tarot reading, we talked a lot about the earth element, and we actually talked a lot about the earth element last time. We've been getting lots of pentacles. So earth rules or is associated with, as far as the zodiac goes, Taurus, then Virgo, then Capricorn. Going off of the evolutionary story, right, like we talked about with fire, with earth, the story is we start in Taurus, and this is where we physically, okay, really physically become aware of our surroundings, of our environment, of our physical presence and existence in this life, on this earth, okay? This is what Taurus does. Taurus is ruled by Venus, which I think is really beautiful because in that beginning stage of Taurus, we, yes, become aware of our surroundings, which means we are also shown the gifts of beauty and love and inspiration, right? All of those amazing gifts that Venus brings us. And I love Taurus energy so much. So in Taurus, we learn to possess things. This is our physical environment. This is our physical first, like, awareness. We're really laying down roots. We're building shelter in Taurus. You know, we're building a structure. We're building a house for ourselves. We're filling it with things we are possessing. This is what Taurus does. It evolves and morphs. Oh, and Taurus, by the way, is fixed energy. This is why Taurus really builds and grounds out that physical environment, okay? It's sowing roots. If you know a Taurus or like someone with a lot of Taurus placements, you'll probably find that they have quite the green thumb. Taurus is really, all the earth signs obviously are so connected to the earth, but since Taurus has that little kiss from Venus, oh my god, Taurus, I feel like, just has to look at something and then it grows. So this is fixed, very sustainable energy. We morph then into the mutable earth sign of Virgo. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So even though Virgo is an earth sign, it's ruled by an air planet. And this really gives it that unique intelligence that Virgo has. Every single one of the signs has a really unique intelligence. But in Virgo, that earth, very connected, very physical, so practical, right? If you are Virgo or have lots of Virgo in your chart, or you know heavy Virgo placements, then you know that practicality is the name of the game. It's logic, okay? It very, very much so. But it adds, when we get to add this air element from Mercury, it really amplifies Virgo's cerebral qualities, and that's what gives Virgo this very special type of intelligence that I'm talking about. And so in Virgo, we've come from very fixed, stabilizing, maintaining Taurus, and now Taurus then morphs into Virgo and needs to learn how to master the art of adaptability. Okay, so since we are now in the mutable sign, Taurus morphs and gains a little bit of speed. Virgo is a very, very fast moving energy, very quick, which again adds to their intelligence because they're quick witted, they're quick thinking as well. But they're so connected and so present on Earth that combined with that extremely quick cerebral quality about them, this is what makes Virgo like one of the best problem solvers and alchemists in the zodiac. They can completely adapt and change, sure, themselves, but really their environment around them. Virgo themselves doesn't even really have to adapt. The other mutable signs have this ability to kind of morph and adapt themselves to the environment. And in Virgo, we really actually have the opposite, where Virgo learns how to adapt its environment to itself. It learns how to create the most efficient energy and environment around it to then drive it to its highest potential, which is where Virgo then masters this and morphs and evolves into Capricorn, which is cardinal energy. And I really like this, by the way. I think it's fascinating that in the Earth evolutionary story here, we start at fixed, we start stable. And how perfect is that for Earth? Earth, at the beginning of its story, it starts out stable and fixed. That just makes so much sense to me, because that's that dependency. That is that just countability that we can have on the earth element, right? And so we start there, which means that through Taurus to Virgo to Capricorn, they've always learned and have taken with them this concept of maintenance. And then along the journey learns the adaptability. And those two can be really hard. Going from fixed and mastering that into adaptability, that can be a little bit of a challenging transition there. But to kind of end or top or complete your ascension and your enlightenment and evolution on a cardinal energy, Capricorn, I think this is fascinating, because cardinal energy is instigating. It's brand new. It's fresh, right? We talked about this with Aries. And so this is why Capricorn is so incredibly successful in career, in building, in public image, in public society, in helping structure big picture concepts, because it first had to master fixed and maintaining and stabilization. Then it had to do the opposite and learn how to move all the time and adapt. And then finally, by the time it reaches Capricorn, in my opinion, that's when it gets to have fun. It gets to be creative and come up with new ideas. And so really, Taurus and Virgo sets Capricorn up for a ton of its very natural success. So Earth is this rooted and practical energy. And the reason it's practical is when you think of Earth, I want you to remind yourself, okay, if it's anything physical, I need to be able to somehow experience it with one of my five senses. That makes this thing fall into the Earth category, okay? Now, overabundance and a lack. What does that look like? Well, overabundance of earth, overabundance of practicality, overabundance of groundedness. You don't allow yourself to ever really connect with anything beyond this, beyond the right now. Presentness, mindfulness, really staying in the moment is a beautiful, beautiful practice. I still think that there are so many benefits to come from kind of unhinging a little bit, unanchoring yourself, and letting yourself kind of flow off a little bit, says the Pisces moon, of course, but it's true. And so overabundance of earth, this is somebody who is so practical and logical that they have a really hard time with creativity and playfulness and imagination. They will hyper prioritize responsibility and being stable and being dependent, okay, and being practical and being logical. Those can all be really beautiful things, but we don't have to stay in this consuming of them. We can allow ourselves to kind of float along and imagine things. We can allow ourselves to expand and open our mind to other possibilities that are beyond this earthly realm, this earthly life. This is what overabundance of earth needs to remember. It's okay to let go. It's okay to uproot yourself sometimes. In fact, some of your most beautiful growth will come from that. Now, a lack of earth, this is, so definitely somebody with their head in the clouds all the time. Somebody who usually will come up with, kind of excuses or justifications for why, maintaining any kind of practicality or responsibility really just like isn't for them, man. You know what I mean? Like kind of that, it's honestly, I'm gonna get blunt here. A lack of earth energy is that toxic 5D ascension new ager, that modern new age spiritualist that like totally bypasses very real, very tangible issues or problems or challenges or responsibilities. And they'll get caught in an avoidance cycle, quite honestly, and find themselves in escapism to constantly escape this presentness, this present, this life, this earth. And that's, I want us all to spiritually ascend. But we don't do that by bypassing this life. I really want a lot of people to hear that. Like saying, I refuse to focus on the negative and stuff I see in the news. Well, that stuff's happening. And you can't just pretend like it's not, because you can't use any other word besides the word pretend. When we've got a lack of earth, earth is very real. Earth does not pretend very often, if at all. And that's, earth doesn't pretend very often. And so anybody with this big lack of earth, there's somebody who kind of lives in fantasy and tells stories to themselves a lot. Now, to work with and boost your earth energy, this is plant magic and crystal magic. Those are probably the two most common. If you have plants, tending to them, talking to them, just being near them, putting them in a certain area, this is working with the earth element. This is a great way to tap into that. Crystal magic, because crystals and rocks and gems come from the earth, and so this is another really great way to connect with earth magic and earth energy, especially because of the weight of crystals. I find that physical weight or that nice cool temperature of a crystal in your hand, nothing really brings you to the physical and the present and the here and the now and this earth than working with plants and working with crystals, I think. So anything that works with your physical environment and really focuses on being present in the moment, that is a very good way to heighten your earth energy within yourself, okay? Another one that a lot of people don't think of or tell you, completing tasks and responsibilities. I'm serious. This really is a very good way to connect with the earth element, because what it is, it's you honoring this life. It's you acknowledging and living this physical life by partaking in the different responsibilities and tasks that we have in order to, live and thrive as humans. So eating and drinking can be very, very grounding practices, really, when we try to make that food or drink as, clean and as quality as possible. That is going to connect you the most efficiently to the earth element. So produce of any kind, fresh fruits, veggies, meats, and like nuts and seeds and whole grains, things of this nature, things that are very minimally processed, that weren't jacked up with a bunch of like hormones or steroids or anything like that. This is going to connect you very, very much to the earth element. And honestly, drinking water also branches into how you can work with the water element, But, however, it also does ground you in the physical moment. It is, water and earth are very, very connected, similarly to how air and fire are very connected. And so drinking water or a special beverage or elixir or potion that you make, and remember, anytime you just mix a drink mindfully, that's an elixir or a potion, okay? And when you do that, so this LaCroix, this is a perfect example. This can is really, really cold still. Every time I take a drink of it, I feel the bubbles, right, like hitting my lips and my tongue and going down my throat. I feel and sense the temperature change of all of this. That's why drinking a liquid can be such a grounding experience, because it brings you very strongly to this physical present moment. So if you need grounding, we talk about this not just in the witchcraft community, but in the mental health community a lot. When you're in need of grounding energy, keeping some kind of non-perishable, easy to travel snack or beverage with you is a great way to tap into and ground yourself while you're away from your home, like if you're away from your plants or your crystals or anything. So really anything that tends to physicalness is going to be a great way to connect with and work with the earth element. Working out, moving your body, giving your body any kind of nurturing or nourishment it needs. This is tending to your earth energy. And then anything to do with your physical environment as well. So cleaning a room, organizing a drawer, making your bed. These are bite-sized tasks. Notice I didn't say deep cleaning your whole house, or you know what I mean? Like, start small. Don't overwhelm yourself when you're experiencing a lack of one of these elements. Don't just automatically overload your energy and your senses, okay? Do these things in bite-sized pieces that actually work for you. That's why I like giving these like simple tips, like wearing a certain color or organizing one drawer in your house. These are things that we can accomplish and we can absolutely build on as much as we feel called to, but that way we're also not totally and completely overwhelming ourselves at the same time, okay? Now, I could go on and on about the earth element because I have to work with the earth element personally a lot. I tend to lean into my water energy the most, and if you see my chart, it definitely is dominated by the water element. But I also lean very heavily into my air as well, because it's such a prominent placement for me. My Mars is in Gemini, and it's in my 10th house, which is this very public area. And so I really lean into my air qualities a lot. But I probably struggle the most with amplifying and embracing my fire energy and my earth energy. So for me personally, these are the two areas that I find I most commonly need to work with in order to kind of enhance or, just kind of rework with in my life. And you'll find this for yourself as well. So same as fire. Go look in your chart and look at where Taurus, where Virgo, where Capricorn are, and look to all of their ruling planets. Taurus is ruled by Venus, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Okay? And so looking at those ruling planets and where they're at in your chart, looking at what houses either contain or are ruled by the earth element for you, this will also give you that secret code to, how you personally can best tap into that earth energy for yourself. Or honestly, if you're experiencing an overabundance of an element, look for clusters of that energy and really look to how to balance this out. And the best way to balance this out is to look at at the other elements. So like I said, for myself, I really lean into my water and my air qualities, so I know I need to look at my water and my air in my chart. Where is this energy taking place? Where is this happening? Why is this happening? And looking physically at that chart can help you see, oh, okay, so we really need to balance out because we've got this big cluster right here. No wonder so much of my energy is being really pulled and called to this area. Look at all this big, maybe wide open space. Maybe I need to kind of visit that element a little bit. Just because it's not in your chart doesn't mean you can't work with that element and really, again, master all of the elements, which is mastering balance, quite frankly. Okay? So this is it for part 1 of the elemental fundamentals. Do you like that? And I'm stoked. On part 2, we are going to get into the air element and the fire element. I really just wanted to split these into 2 parts because the elements are so important and so broad that I did not want to have to rush a single one of them. So that's it for part 1 of the elementals. In the first of the fundamentals series, please let me know what questions that you have. What else can I elaborate on for you? Do you struggle with any of these areas? Are you an elemental witch? Are you an elemental witch and you didn't even realize that you were until you heard me describing all of these qualities? I would really, really love to know and to connect with all of you further. So until next time, until part 2, I'm Danny. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.